check say we are already on live on Facebook, and we are. Yes. And we are on Facebook, ladies and gentlemen, already. So you can find us on Facebook. Um, you can find us on Facebook, the Platinum platform, or you can go to youtube.com/c/slash talk about life. Well, it seems that we are having a bit of a lag here. It seems that my mouth is not matching my voice, but the show has got to go on. All right, we have there with me. Okay, I'm just going to put a last share. Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is the 24th of May 2022, 9:11 p.m. Singapore time on a Tuesday evening. And we are podcasting to you live from Singapore and USA, California. And I've got over there my co host for the third part of the series with her, the State of the World with Opinion Leaders, Colette Laurie Galea. Am I right?
Yep.
And
Yep, Colette
I'm
Gallagher.
Yeah, and I'm here right here in Singapore. It's a warm weather here. We're experiencing a lot of heat wave here. I think it's almost like 36 degrees, but it feels like it's 42 degrees Celsius, and that Celsius means it's well over 100 Fahrenheit. How are you, Colette?
Wow. I'm amazing, thank you. It's morning over here, so I'm just waking up and it's chilly and I can't imagine it being 100 degrees. That's crazy.
Feeling like 100 degrees. Colette, let's dive into today's topic. We talk about Me Too, abuse, domestic violence, particularly the story of you and your mom. Who has invited a very undesirable personality into the household, and we talked about in episode one, your story, and also we juxtaposed that with the current ongoing trial between Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard. And also in the second episode, we talked a bit more about, we dealt with it deeper into the topic. And today we're going to talk a little bit about the aspect, about the perpetrator, someone who's taking on drugs. And we'll talk more about abuse and how to avoid or preempt abusive relationships or get themselves into such situations, and also the effects of drugs. Colette, you witnessed firsthand. Tell us about yourself. You are already in a very successful marriage right now, happily married, and building on your own inner coaching academy. Would you like to tell us about a bit about what you do, and then we talk about today's topic?
Yeah, thank you. So, yeah, I'm one of the co-founders of the Inner Coaching Academy with my business partner, Vince Polito. And we are passionate about all of this stuff, about helping people prepare for healthy relationships, how to communicate more effectively so that the anger doesn't build up and then the violence breaks out, how to handle triggers, all the things that lead to these abusive situations. And we don't believe that anyone is broken or there's anything wrong with people. It's just, people have environments and things happen, and then they just don't know how to effectively handle them. And so Vince himself was a drug dealer and a criminal, and then I grew up in those situations.
Yeah.
And so both of us are just so passionate about this, especially because of the children. For me, the kids are my like one of my big whys, because I don't want any other children growing up in these environments where they're witnessing and experiencing these abusive situations. And so we do a lot of inner work. We call it inner coaching.
Yeah.
And so what we do is we dive deep into people's core wounds because when you have trauma, when you grow up in these environments, or even later in life, things happen, you end up with these core wounds. And a lot of times we don't even know that they're there. We're just functioning from these wounds, from these fears, from these beliefs, from
Mm,
these inner conflicts that we have.
mm,
And it ends up, the byproduct of this is addiction and drugs and violence. So those are really just symptoms of deeper
yeah,
things going on. And so that's what we do. We
yeah,
help people dive deep into those things in our group coaching and our private coaching, to really see what's under the surface that's causing these things. And we love it.
yeah. It's such a meaningful thing you're doing for people, for humanity at large. And we see these manifested in the case of Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard, right? Both of them trying to hurt each other out in the open and for perpetuity, for everyone to see and forever. I mean, the abusive relationship itself, it's abusive enough. And now it is going to be another episode of abuse in front of the court, in front of everyone. The I would say that it's the court of public opinion also, and also it's going to be for perpetuity. I mean, I don't know how bad it's going to be because it builds upon layers and layers of abusive experiences and memories. We're going to talk about that if you could, Colette, how memories, like what you say, triggers, right? How memories play a part. Can you ever walk out of that, etc.? And the first question that I thought we would like to talk about, that I would like to bring you back and the audience back to the last episode we had, is that I did mention about the Me Too movement. And I say that the Me Too movement has built the momentum and has given recognition to believing women who have finally come out together in a collective force, in strength, because they find courage in speaking up, and find the courage and the strength in numbers. And I did mention about, is this a case, the court case, going to set back the Me Too movement? And the next day, the article came out in India. Yes, it is going to set back the Me Too movement. And I'm thinking that we are speaking very much a very current topic, Colette. It is important, it is immense because it opens up wounds and no, I think it is time in history where people find courage to speak their mind. So my question to you is, you talked about Vince, and ladies and gentlemen, go below if you're looking at YouTube. I've interviewed Vince Beledo before, a very passionate guy about what he does right now for his academy and also his life experience. Tell us your experience in witnessing drug abusers, either drug pushers, drug abusers, drug addicts. Tell me, how do they behave before and after?
Yeah, so I was really little. So for me, it was just everyone was very erratic, like I
Mm,
couldn't count on them. My mom was taking a lot of naps because she was doing drugs. Um, Her husband at the time, my stepfather, that was selling the drugs at the time. It was just very um like he would just like snap, he'd be angry. But again, I think that drugs are more of a outcome of deeper
mm,
pain. And
mm,
so I'm not like, I don't know if the drugs make people more violent or if they were already violent, because
mm.
anger is a
Good
byproduct of
point.
fear, right? So when people are angry, it's easier to be angry than scared. And so that's why, doing my studies and things, I'm not sure that the drugs make people more violent. I think it just makes them less,
Manifested.
yeah, it makes it so they don't hold back um,
Yeah,
their
yeah,
violence.
you're right. It could just be a manifestation of what the person already had, either
Yeah.
a personality or either an experience. Either it's nature or nurture. And you talked about your mom sleeping a lot and her partner at that time, the husband who's a stepdad, kind of became erratic in the behavior. There is studies that shows that you get into this personality split, right? Or a kind of sometimes you go into episodes that you do not recognize as that person. Um, does that ever happen to you and your mom or you and your stepdad that you kind of like felt, hey, who's this? Why they are not the consistent person that I used to, and then you kind of can't predict what is going to happen next.
Yeah, and especially as a little kid, children are so sensitive to behaviors, and then they also blame themselves for a lot of things, at least I
Mm,
did. And so my mom would have these mood swings, and the same thing with the people around me, this like my
mm,
stepfather and his friends. It was like
oh
sometimes they were
wow.
happy and things are really cool and everyone's like partying, and then the next thing you know, everyone's angry or yelling and screaming or throwing things. And so as a child, it's really confusing. And you're wondering, okay, what am I going to get today? And then what did I do
Mm,
wrong? Right?
oh
Because they're
wow.
yelling at you, they're yelling at me. And I'm not sure why, because
Mm,
I didn't really do anything that bad as far as I'm concerned. So then it's like, oh, well, what's wrong with me? And then learning to kind of be very cautious. You walk in the room and you're kind of reading the room, and
stepping on
uh,
glass.
yeah, you get very empathetic,
Yeah.
empathic,
Yeah.
because you've got to kind of read the room. You've got to really know what's going
Wow.
on. So, because you don't want to really be there when people are angry and violent. So you kind of
Mm,
quietly walk in, and
mm.
then it's like, oh, no, I'm going back to my room. I'm going to go away. I don't want to deal with this. And so, yeah, you learn to be really reserved, I think is the
Yeah,
best word for
and
it.
that actually speaks a lot because you're talking about coming to a home, coming to people that you should be able to trust. Some place that you think you can be like a comfort place, a place that you could seek safety, but yet this safety became like broken glass, right? You kind of like have to tiptoe. You are always living on the on uncertainty. I mean that kind of I don't know if for a child or even for an adult, for a grown-up person, if I were to walk into a room, a meeting room where I can't even read my boss's mind today, is he going to yell at me, for even saying the same thing, because it becomes really unpredictable. Tell us about this triggers, because I hear so often in our third time, triggers. What are triggers?
Yeah, so triggers are the things that happen
Mm,
that cause a reaction. And
mm,
so these are different for every single person. And there's triggers for a lot of things.
yeah.
There's triggers for good things. You can use it actually to your advantage, and can have triggers like you can put your tennis shoes by your bed, and then when
Mm.
you wake up, that's your trigger. Oh, I'm going to go for a run. So you
Mm,
can actually train yourself to do good things
mm,
with triggers. But in this case, the triggers are usually a feeling. You
mm,
have like people have some kind of a feeling. Maybe they're feeling scared, or they're feeling worried about a job,
mm,
or whatever it is. And so it usually starts with a feeling and a thought, and then
mm,
it's just like an automatic response.
mm,
Like humans are pretty much they're trained. We're
mm,
trained throughout life, especially as children. We're trained to do certain things, and so
mm,
for some people, the trigger of feeling scared, they start yelling. They have a feeling they're not safe. This person to them is a threat, and so their trigger is like, now I yell because I need to protect
like a
myself. I need to keep
defense
this,
mechanism,
yeah,
right?
I need to keep this
It's
person
almost like an
away.
animal, right? You start to
Yeah,
have these spikes because you want to prevent the predator from coming to you. It is a
right.
very natural reaction, and back to this to this case, which I'm going to talk about your inner coaching a little bit. later on. The case about Johnny Depp and Amber, um, it's very confusing for someone like me. I've never met a drug abuser. I've never met someone who's violent in my life. I think I'm really fortunate and
Yeah, you're
sheltered.
lucky.
Yeah, I think I'm the person who's violent. That's why.
Aw.
So, I'm just saying that looking at the news that comes out, people on the one side are testifying to his good character, that he's a loving person, is an angel. I'm referring to Johnny Depp. But there's another group of person to say that, hey, this guy has lost his reputation because the drugs have changed him. He wasn't able to show up to work, and he forgot his lines at work, lines as an actor for his show. He's got to wear a earpiece, when someone whispers the lines to him. It kind of confuses me too. Like, who am I looking at? Is this an actor from the movie star? Or is this someone that was loving someone just said this like years ago because they're talking about girlfriends coming out to testify that, oh, he's really, really kind. He saved me. And there were people were saying that the other extreme. So I'm looking at what you say. Um, you can't predict a person, particularly now it's been established, this person who happens to an actor, just a human being who abuses drugs. And I'm kind of like, would like to just throw the question to you. We don't know, I'm not an expert, but you're someone that you've met people like that. Um, is my conclusion correct? Colette, tell me. This
You bring up,
guy took
yeah.
drugs and his personality changed after that.
Yeah, you bring up actually a few good points there because the one thing you said was like all these people are saying how great this guy is, but then there's these other people that say that he's not. And that's really common with
Mm,
people that are like that get angry and violent and abusive.
mm,
They get really good at hiding that. So
mm.
you hear that a lot where women at home are getting beaten and abused, but like
Mm,
the whole community thinks this person's like this great person. So
mm,
then when the woman comes out, everyone's saying, wow, you're crazy. Look at all these great things that he's doing. Look at his awards or look at how his community service. Look at all this
mm,
great stuff. But then at home, that's his outlet for all his anger and he takes it out on the
mm,
people close to him, his wife or girlfriend, and he's abusive and throwing things.
mm,
So that's one side of it. But then the other side of it comes back to relationships and what happens in close relationships. Because it's not that people bring out the violence in
mm,
people, but what
mm,
happens is people feel safer to be more true to who they are with the people close to
mm.
them. And because they
Yes, they
feel
reveal
safe,
themselves.
yeah, then this stuff comes out. And because relationships really are just mirrors for where we get to heal.
Mm,
I mean, that's really what they are because any conflicts or violence or anything is just a sign like, hey, there's something for me to work on here. And then
yeah.
it's up to the person to decide, like, wow, I don't want to be like this. Let me get some therapy. Let me get some coaching. Let me get some support around this so that my triggers aren't being taken out on the people that I really love. Because a lot of
Yeah.
times the people do feel bad. The people, the people most of the time aren't like beating someone and then happy about it.
Mm.
Most of the time they're abusive and really apologetic about it,
Yes.
and maybe they really are sorry. In the trial of Johnny Depp, it looked like he really was sorry after for
Yeah.
the abuse that he caused her, but he just didn't know how to handle it.
Or
And he
that
shared,
both sides of the aisle are true, right?
yeah,
Um, I mean, people do change throughout times. I mean, I'm the different person than I was like 20 years ago, right? But so now my question is, how do you avoid abusive relationships? How do you even prevent an abusive situation?
yeah. Well, it takes two people to have a relationship.
Mm,
So people like to say that there's a victim and then there's a perpetrator, which could be true, but both people are responsible. Even the victim, I'm not
mm,
victim blaming by any
Yeah.
means.
Yeah.
But everybody has a choice. And
Yeah.
so you don't want to wait until you have no money, you have no job, you have no friends, because that's what happens. So a lot of
Yeah.
times abusers are so insecure, they're so
Yeah.
fearful that
Yeah.
they want to isolate
Yeah.
you, they want to get you away from everything and keep you for themselves because they're so scared of losing you.
Yeah.
And people think that's love. And that's not love, that's not healthy. And
Yeah.
so you want to know the signs of what a healthy relationship
Yeah.
is and what a healthy relationship isn't. And
Mm.
so, and a lot of times women have gut feelings. If you ask
Mm.
people, like after, hey, was there any signs in the beginning? There was something that felt off.
Yeah.
But because people were so hungry for love, and
Mm.
they think this is like, oh, well, at least I'm getting love somehow, even if it doesn't feel good. And
Yes.
often it feels like our primary caregivers. So we learn what love feels like from our primary caregivers. And parents are busy, they're working, sometimes they snap. And then
Yeah.
sometimes you have trauma, like the households I grew up in. And so
Mm.
we learn, even if it's not healthy, we feel that feeling of like not being safe, that feeling of being rejected or being abandoned. When we feel that or jealous, we're like, oh, that's love. Because I feel this way, it
Yeah,
means I
yeah,
love this
exactly. Or
person.
you normalize that. You say that, okay, this is the normal
Yeah.
way that it should be. Or that
Yeah.
there's a song that I know is like a hard habit to break, right? You
Yeah.
didn't want to break away from that because that's the only thing you know. Because leaving that gives you another fear of the unknown. Where are you going to go? Who are you going to talk to? Here, at least you've got a person who's like 50% all right most of the time. The other 50%, you got to bear with it. You know what I'm trying to say? It's so difficult for a woman to walk out of a relationship, even though the relationship has a lot of signals that says that this is not the right one. But sometimes you settle for less. Sometimes you think that maybe I deserve it. You kind of try to rationalize, normalize, and to kind of justify your own decision. I think decision making is really important. Like for example, if you have an experience whereby you made, um, you made promises, right? And then you wanted to keep it, like you want to keep this guy, you want to keep the relationship, you want to keep this friendship, um, because you made promise to be there, and you walking out of it or you breaking from it made you feel that you are the bad person too. Colette, do you think so?
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a lot of guilt. And so there's just all kinds of things that happen in relationship dynamics where
Yeah.
we watch movies, right? You watch a movie and in the
Mm,
movies they meet and a week later they're in love and everything just works out
mm,
perfectly. And so we're
mm.
sold a lot of these programs of how relationships should
Yeah.
be or
Yes.
how it's supposed to work. And now you're supposed to be loyal to someone you just met a week ago.
Loyalty. Yeah. You're
Yeah,
right.
and
You're
it's
right.
like that's not
You're right.
healthy.
You're right.
It
Loyalty.
takes six
Blind
months. I mean,
loyalty.
yeah, you want to
Yeah.
see this person when their tire gets a flat tire. You want to see this person after a bad day at work, and without any
Mm,
commitment that you're going to stay with somebody because you don't know, you don't have enough information. And
mm,
so it's healing these patterns and really letting go of anything that is unhealthy. And then also knowing what it feels like to feel safe, really anchoring in the feelings of safety, of kindness, of
peace. Having this sense
gratitude,
of peace.
peace. Because
Yeah.
there's people that have never felt safe in their whole life,
Yes, I know.
ever.
Okay, I know that we're coming to the end of this
Yeah.
third part of our show with you, Colette. Such an honor to have you to be talking about this in such great honesty and clarity. Tell us the final concluding a minute or so about what do you do? How do you help someone?
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me 3 times. I've had such a great time talking about this. I think it's so important that we talk about
Yes.
it. Like you're saying, it's like a lot of times when we're abused, it's like be quiet, shut up, don't talk. Even from our parents growing up, we learn to just shut down. And I think it's so important that we release that as a society, as a world where
Mm,
it's safe to come forward and talk
mm,
about these things. Hey, at home there's violence, there's things going on, and not, oh, close the door, nobody wants to
Mm.
hear it, because yeah, so it's just really important that we just start talking about this. So I really appreciate this platform so we can just encourage people, find friends and find family, and let's get out there
Right.
and share that these things are happening so we can get help, get
Tell us,
support, so
tell
we
us
can
about your
heal.
workshop. Is it a workshop that you run?
Oh, we have all kinds of fun things coming up. So in June, at the end of June, we have a live weekend, 2 days of really getting in
Wow.
alignment with who we are, letting go of the masks, letting go of
Mm.
pretending that things are okay when they're not, practicing in a
Mm.
safe space.
Yeah.
Because when you practice in that safe
Yeah.
space, then you get all of the things worked out so that you can go out into the world
Mm.
and be free to speak and be who you are in the world by practicing in
Mm.
the safe containers.
Yeah.
So we have the weekend event. We do private coaching one-to-one, and then we
Mm.
do our group coaching containers, which is the core encounter, which are amazing. We have so many breakthroughs and insights happening inside these containers, and it just warms our heart to see people getting into communication with people that maybe they lost touch with, people
Mm.
releasing the fear of speaking up, of sharing their
Mm.
truth, of people getting clear on even how they feel. A lot of times people don't even
Mm.
really know how they're actually feeling inside or what's going on or what their body's even doing because we're
Mm.
taught to ignore ourselves. We're taught
Yeah.
that we don't matter, we're not significant, the
Yeah.
world is significant, our
Yeah. I'm
job,
just a small
our partner.
person.
Yeah, like everything is more important than we are.
Yeah,
So
you're
we learn
right.
to get back in touch with our
We kind
bodies,
of
our
like deny
intuition.
ourselves. We deny our own
Yeah,
existence and we deny our own self significance.
yeah.
But we are the first person we should uplift. Then are we able to help other people? Thank you so much, Colette. Do you want to talk? Do you want to say again your workshops, where they can find you, where they can find the links? Do you want to make an announcement?
Yeah, so the core encounter, so the THE core, CORE encounter, ENCOUNTER.com. And then the core encounter live is the weekend event. So the core encounter and then live, LIVE.com is where you can get the tickets to the weekend event. And it's a super good deal. It's a great way to dive in. We have a Facebook group in our coaching academy Facebook group, which is free. I do training in there every week. So if you just want to come check it out, join our Facebook group. It's a safe space for you to start sharing
Mm,
who you are
mm,
and what's going on in your life and get that
mm,
support. We have a free training, 5-day challenge. So we have all kinds of free stuff inside of that Facebook
mm,
community and also
mm.
on our website. And then you can dive into one of our workshops or coaching with us and yeah, start to
Wow,
heal.
that's a lot of information. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're so honored to have Colette, who has spent a lot of time with us over the past 3 episodes. You can always find her here underneath this description, and you can go to her Facebook or website, visit her at Core Coaching or Core Encounter
The
dot com.
coreencounter.com. Yeah,
Core
thecoreencounter.com. Yep.
thecoreencounter.com. And then she's got a weekend event coming up where you can buy tickets. Thank you so much, Colette. It's always great to have you.
Thank you.
It's something really current. I'm glad that in some ways, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, they sacrificed their privacy for the rest of us to get some education. That's why we're talking about it. That's why I think a lot of voices are rising up. Thank you so much, Colette. Any
Thank you.
final 10 seconds?
Just know that there's nothing wrong with you. You are not broken. Whatever happened to you does not define you. You are amazing and beautiful, and you deserve to be loved and to love yourself fully.
Wow,
And
that's power.
yeah.
That's empowerment right there. So, Colette, we'll talk to you again soon. Always come to the Platinum platform on Facebook and youtube.com/c/talk about life. Thank you so much. Bye,
Bye.
Colette.